Good morning. I am calling to order our regularly scheduled meeting of Committee of the Whole. My name is Elizabeth Glidden. I'm the chair of this committee, and I'm joined by council members Gordon, Bender, Andrew Johnson, Yang, Quincy, Warsami, Fry, and Palmisano, and we are a quorum of this committee. Today we have no action items for the committee itself, and so what we do have are reports from our other council committees, and we will start to go through that. The first is Community Development and Regulatory Services, and I'm turning, as he's flipping through his book here, to our vice chair of that committee, Councilmember Fry, and if you'd like me to return to you, I can do that too. It's probably in the little pocket of your book is a easier list to help refresh us on the committee's actions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've got 14 items that will be coming forward on Friday. The first is the first and the second are land sales. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are land sales. The seventh is passage of a resolution approving a business license, operating conditions for Pizza La Vista, which will allow them to sell pizza past 2 a.m. Eighth is a sending forward without recommendation the revocation of a food manufacturer license on Mediterranean Deli. Basically on this one, we allowed them to have some additional time in order to pay some sales taxes that hadn't been paid yet. It's my understanding that they have not been paid to date, so we're going to give them another 2 days until Friday and make a final decision. Number 9 are a series of liquor, business, and gambling license applications. 10 is the passage of a resolution approving a license settlement conference for Muse Event Center. 11 is approving a budget and governmental program for McPhail, and the passage of a resolution approving a governmental program and annual budget. 12 is our Step Up Youth Employment Program, which is just authorizing a contract and receiving funds. 13 is accepting some money from DEED for contamination and cleanup, as well as an investigation grant program. 14 is accepting and appropriating Met Council LCDA grants of $1,250,000 for the Mosaic East project and $500,000 for Broadway Flats project, and a Met Council LCDA TOD pre-development grant of $100,000. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Great. I'm not seeing questions. Thank you very much, Councilmember Fry. Next, we have Health, Environment, and Community Engagement with Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. The Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committee will be bringing forward 2 items for approval. The first relates to the Homegrown Minneapolis Food Council and its passage of a resolution amending the membership to include 1 staff member each from the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and the Minneapolis Public Schools, and also 2 additional community members appointed by those same bodies. The second item is authorizing a contract with the Minnesota Department of Health to receive $180,000 for home visiting services for women and young children. I'm happy to answer any questions on those items.
All right, we have a question from Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Councilmember Gordon, I heard through the grapevine that, within your committee, there was talk of available land parcels and how we can get that into the hands of folks who want to do community gardens. And was that a part of this action, or was that something separate? Or
so, Madam Chair, if I may, that we did discuss that, and you can look back at the committee and see that. So there was a recommendation from the Food Council that we explore some options with that, and what we did was we decided we should refer that to the Community Development Committee so that they could potentially create a work group, refer to staff, and come up with some of those recommendations. If you go back on the agenda, you can also see specifically what they are, but they did have some specific ideas about increasing the lease, opening some of the community garden lots for commercial growing potentially, and also looking at if we could somehow categorize more of the lots that we had available suitable for growing, as opposed to, I think, the rather limited number of 20-some right now that we've identified.
If I may, I would be very supportive of that. I think that with regards to just the 20 available lots, I mean, it's probably not enough for the people who actually want to use it, and especially within the context of having a lot of lots that we hope to develop but just are sitting there. It would be better if we had a use for them, and if that means that we don't have to pay anything for maintenance and somebody from the community actually does, it's a great thing.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that there actually a lot of the lots are probably in your ward and in North Minneapolis, and that's probably good for us all to hear, especially those of us who sit on the Community Development Rights Services Committee that'll be taking this up.
All right, thank you. Are there other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any, so we will turn next to intergovernmental relations, and I'll note that committee was chaired by Councilmember Alondra Cano this cycle, but in her absence, I will go through the agenda. We had 2 items. The first was approving an amendment to our policies for 2015 legislative session supporting seed libraries. And the second item was another addition or amendment to our 2015 legislative policies regarding investigation of officer-involved death, and this would be an item that talked about independent or outside investigations of those types of items, and there's a bill in the legislature about that right now. So if there are no questions on those agenda items, we can turn to Transportation and Public Works with that committee's Vice Chair, Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have seven items coming forward from Transportation and Public Works on Friday. The first is the 31st Street East Street Resurfacing Project. The second is the Hennepin-Lindale Corridor Street Reconstruction Project and Design Amendment. We basically received the cost estimate, set a public hearing for June 9th, and increased the amount of the contract with Kimley Horn for final design of that corridor. Items number 3 and 4 were public hearings. That's the Penn East and McKinley areas, Girard and Humboldt Avenue North Street Resurfacing Project, and also the sale of city-owned land to the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority. 5th was the MPCA grant for commercial waste evaluation. We're basically using a MPCA grant in the amount of approximately $27,000 through our Solid Waste and Recycling Enterprise Fund. Number 6 is the 35W South Storm Tunnel Rehab Construction Agreement. And the 7th was accepting a bid for inspection of our sanitary sewer system. Any questions, I'm happy to stand.
Thank you. I'm not seeing questions. So next we have the Ways and Means report from Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, or Vice President. There were 12 items on the Ways and Means Committee that for your consideration on Friday. First item is a legal settlement. Second item is a legal services agreement and waiver of conflict of interest, the master agreement list for legal services with Frederickson and Byron. The third item is a Supreme Court amicus brief participation from the mayor and the police chief. There are 2 briefs involving a same-sex marriage case in Ohio that we're signing on as a friend of the court brief. Minneapolis Board of Appeal and Equalization, we're appointing Tad Marinack, Sandy Lusher, and Earl Netwall to the Minneapolis Board of Appeal and Equalization for the term to run at the end of April through the 1st of May of this year. The 5th item is the approval list of city positions subject to SEI filing requirements. That's a statement of economic interest. 6th item is the Convention Center and Target Center Consulting Pool RFP for Convention Center and Target Center Consulting Pool contracts. The 7th item is the Fridley Water Softening Plant Facility Assessment, amending a contract with Miller Dunwoody Architecture. The 8th item is amending a contract with Alpha Review Corporation for medical review bill services. Item number 9 is the Workers' Comp and Employment Services Medical Billing Services, negotiating and entering into a contract with Alpha Review Corporation. Item number 10 is the extension of a contract with Cartograph Systems for a traffic management system. Item 11 is amending a contract with Advanced Public Safety for the MPD citation system. And the final item is the executing a contract for the 2015 National Forensic Sciences Improvement Program. Happy to stand for any questions for those 12 items.
Thank you, Councilmember Quincy. I am not seeing questions, so we'll turn to our last report, Zoning and Planning, with Councilmember Lisa Bender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 6 items from the Zoning and Planning Committee this cycle. The first is appointments to our Board of Adjustment. We have 3 appointments, 2 of which are reappointments of Matt Perry and Jacob Softly, and 1 is a new appointment, Anja Drescher. Item number 2 is street vacations to vacate portions of 4th Street South and 5th Street South for the new stadium. Item number 3 is approving an application for rezoning of a parcel at 1901 Fillmore Street Northeast for the Bonicelli Restaurant from R2B to C1. And then item number 4 is for Karma Coffee Shop and offices to rezone that parcel from R2B to C1. Item number 5 is denying a petition for part of an environmental assessment worksheet related to the Downtown East Commons. And I could answer any questions about that if there are. And item number 6 was approving a staff recommendation that the environmental assessment worksheet and findings of fact be prepared for the L&H station at 2225 East Lake Street.
All right, thank you. I do see one question from Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. I'm just a little bit curious about how the street vacations in this action relate back to the land sale actions. This has to do with 5th and 4th in the stadium because we're selling them land. So it sounds like it's rather complicated. Perhaps we're selling a portion and then we're giving easements on another portion. Does anybody know if these two are connected and how? Otherwise, I'll do some research between now and tomorrow too, because it's hazy for me. It almost looks like they're the same land, but they must be slightly different. So there is a number 2 item in Transportation and Public Works, or there was at our committee, it was number 2. I'm not sure what it is on the report, that is authorizing us to actually sell, maybe do a quit claim deed and sell 2 segments of the public right-of-way along 4th Street and 5th Street to the Sports Facilities Authority for $1.5 million. And then in ZMP, there's also a little bit of an easement. So I'm just wondering, it looks, if anybody can respond, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll try to dig into it before tomorrow.
Madam Chair, I think we should have staff follow up with more information. I believe that these vacations were related to the underground infrastructure for communications and electricity and those kinds of things, but we'll get that information.
Oh, so we could easily be selling some of the land above and then providing some easements below to make sure we still have somebody still has access to that. I'll follow up.
Okay,
Thanks.
sounds good.
All right. So without any further questions, I believe we have concluded with our agenda for today. Well, we do have one comment or question. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I don't have a question. I just neglected to mention in my report, it wasn't an action item that we took in Ways and Means Committee, but I thought it was worth noting that we did have a quasi-judicial presentation regarding the CenturyLink application for a franchise for video services. So that information, the application, and the PowerPoint presentation that was offered by Mr. Bradley, our attorney on this project, is available for public viewing. Comments remain open until Friday evening, and then we'll be looking forward from a recommendation on whether to accept or deny that application from staff in 2 cycles. Just wanted
Thank
to note
you.
that
Thank
on
you
the
for that,
report.
Councilmember Quincy, and also for reminding us that we are all continue to be in this quasi-judicial process as this moves forward, because I know it's important to just recognize the record is still open, and we need to be able to affirm that we are reviewing everything in the record and informing our decision as it may come forward. So thank you very much. With that, anything remaining? I believe we have then now concluded with our agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you.